So, maybe we should get another chair, actually. I forgot that we're going to be sitting and chatting. Here's one. Okay. So.
Am I sitting?
Wherever, whatever's pleasure. Yeah, wherever.
The hot seat.
The hot seat. You're
You are in the
definitely
hot seat.
in the hot seat,
Ooh.
or the warm seat. You know, it's a nice seat.
Friendly, friendly seat.
Could I get you a little closer? Would you mind?
Yes,
Scoot.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Whatever you want to call me. Yeah, you should call me whatever
Yes,
you
sir.
want. Just don't call me late for dinner. Okay, so what me and Eva did was took your whole assessment that we did and then processed it and then compiled all the data on this one sheet right here,
Yeah.
which is very
Very
nice.
nice.
Very nice, right? So it's all in one place. And what we're going to be doing is going through your reported findings and this blueprint of your system and talking about what we found, what we're interested in, what we think might be impacting other parts of your body,
Right.
some highlighted areas that we think are going to be really important to work on with you, kind of a starting point, and then what we hope to see as we work you can kind of pick your system apart. So
I'm so really excited about it.
yeah, this is going to be very, very different than what we did when we started because I quite frankly didn't know what I was doing when we started.
We all knew that.
Yeah.
It was a learning process.
For
It
sure.
was- And
Yeah.
you still did something very important.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, the MAT I think was big, and I think that this was, this was in its very infantile stages, and so you're gonna get,
Oh, fun for me.
you're gonna get like the real deal right now. This is like this is the Kahuna that everybody when they come in here. This is like the thing that really showcases what your system is doing, and so.
Okay.
If you have any questions, I'll be asking, does that make sense throughout this whole thing? But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to stop me and we can talk about anything extra in depth that we need to cover. The goal today is to get through this, get on the table, kind of start the process, pick apart some of these hypotheses that we kind of put our heads together and figured out, and then just kind of get a sense of what the flow of the appointments is going to look like going forward, okay? And hopefully learn a bunch of great stuff along the way. So what I have here is your report of findings, which is kind of the step-by-step session game plans that we're going to be doing
Okay.
in here. This is the blueprint. This is the tea leaves. This is kind of what we use to generate or determine what we're going to be doing with your system. Okay. Do you
I
need?
have to turn off my cell phone. It keeps talking to me.
Okay. You know what I'm going to do? Just turn this off so we have no obstruction of auditory. Off.
There are 3 messages.
Ooh. Okay.
It goes right into my
Oh,
ear. I can't
got
hear
you.
what I'm saying.
Oh, that's funny. You're like, I'm talking to somebody on the phone right now. What are you doing here?
Excuse me.
Okay, so just to kind of highlight the 2 big pictures here. This is your postural assessment.
Hmm?
This is your range of motion assessment.
Oh,
Posture is what we did on the zone there, the posture zone, and then also kind of how we looked at your body's configuration while you were laying on the table.
right.
Okay. This is that pushy-pulley, leg out to the side testing that we did.
Mhm.
This is all of your kind of vital testing that we did. Breath, blood pressure, heart rate, those things. I use this as kind of a box to go quick reference if I ever need to look at something, like if you're feeling faint, I can do your blood pressure and then I can go, okay, what was our baseline blood pressure? I can quickly tell where you're at, and same thing with a lot of these other things as well. So this is kind of my guide and my reference of, you know, where you're at, what I'm looking at when we're trying to affect things. Um, we also have your information on like your fundamental objectives, injury history,
My
pain, your
My-
fundamental
Okay.
objectives here.
Okay.
And I'm going to check in with those with you here in a second just to make sure we're on the same page and aligned on where we want to go
Okay.
with this process. So, and then this is your spine and kind of what we looked at with your spine in a sense of position. So yeah, I'm going to start out with your fundamental objectives just to make sure that we're on the same page and we're moving in the right direction. So, and correct me if I'm wrong here, big thing, reducing greatly and or clearing the knee pain. And the goal around that is to not feeling like it's slowing you down and hindering you from your day-to-day life. The things that I heard that you said that resonated with me, one was the ease of gardening, the getting up, the getting down. That's a good baseline kind of test of like, yes, we're making improvements, or hey, no, this isn't changing much, something needs to give.
Okay.
Is that kind of
Yes.
aligning?
That sounds good.
Okay. The other thing is the trust in the body, which I kind of related to balance, strength, building muscle, being able to rely on your body for the long haul, and not having the concern of it breaking down. Is that also?
Sounds good.
Okay, very good. The big one that I really liked that we kind of landed on together was the botanical garden walk. I think that's, you know, kind of a direction and goal that we can kind of beeline towards as far as like going, yep, we're making strides here, or nah, this isn't going in the right direction. Does that feel?
Yeah, that
Feel
was a
good.
good landmark.
Okay, cool. Okay, good. So we're on the same page. Did I miss anything?
Anything about the hip?
The hip pain?
Yeah.
That is a good. Is the hip something that's loud and talking to you all the time?
It is.
You're talking
now.
about your right
It is,
hip?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
okay.
is now, but I have been sleeping on the couch. But I don't think it's hurting me. But I do feel it.
Okay, and when we say the hip, what specifically about the hip are you trying, or are you hoping that we figure out?
I feel like the range of motion is limited, and I'm feeling restraint and some pain, some
Okay.
ache. The terminology for pain bothers me, you know.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
the lower end, I
Unwan-
like to talk about
Yeah.
ache.
Unwanted sensation is a great word.
Oh,
We actually use the term
Oh.
US,
oh,
unwanted sensation
uh-huh,
versus pain.
yeah,
But you know, for the sake of like what we do, we usually use we use PX as pain, just so we know. I mean, we could use US as well, but
Okay.
anyway, we're just conditioned to use PX. But yeah, you have unwanted sensations in your right hip,
correct.
and what does that feel like? That's holding you back from doing things?
I think it makes me cautious.
Okay.
I don't know what's happening, and I don't know. I saw like I was going down the stairs more carefully, but now I seem to be able to walk
Okay.
straight down. So
Okay. Is there a concern or fear of it getting like more injured, or not knowing what's?
yeah, I don't want it to get worse.
Okay. So degradation of the right hip, and cautious and concerned with hip. And would your concern of the degradation of that hip be gone if you didn't have pain in there anymore?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Nice. Okay. That's what I wanted to hear there. Okay. That's good. I like that. So, and if there's anything else that pops up, you know, the beautiful thing about this process is like if you think of something like, hey, I also, now that I'm feeling better here, I'm concerned about this and I want to work on this thing. throw that out there at any time, and we'll plug it into our fundamental objectives to make sure that we're still aligned with everything that you're trying to accomplish here. So, good. Okay. So going back to this postural assessment. So, the first thing I want to highlight, and it's kind of the first thing, or one of the first things that we looked at, was your respiratory excursion rates. So your ability to breathe. Mm-hmm. What we saw was that, and it's kind of fascinating, we saw that your upper body, you were much better at inhaling, and your lower part of your abdominal region, you were much better at exhaling. So you're good at breathing in here and good at breathing out down here. We typically want to see about 5 centimeters of excursion or movement. We're getting about 3 in the upper part of your chest cavity and 4.75 lower, which is pretty much like right where we want to be as far as like the bare minimum goes. So the point here is not so much, especially in the lower region, is not so much about how well it's moving, but where you're moving from and where most of your breathing is coming from. And so I think that we can make some nice changes to your system by kind of conditioning your system to breathe differently, or educating it on ways to breathe differently. And I think what that will do is it's going to help with posture and balance and uprightness and usage of your shoulders and all those things that we want to see with is especially the we call it the appendicular system, but I'm talking about the limbs, the arms and the legs. So having a good support system around the rib cage and the diaphragm and the pelvis and that connecting system is really important for being able to move, because we kind of move from that central region. So does that make sense? Kind of. Okay, so that was the big thing I saw with the breathing. We then go to your posture. By the way, I would typically have the grid line or the grid outline of her whole body with all the pictures that we took. We just didn't get through that, but that's okay. I'll have it on here. You'll get to see it at some point. Okay. But really, the interesting things that we saw here with posture, first of all, with posture, what we're doing with this process is not really trying to address posture with postural changes. What I mean by that is, if you just kind of blindly try and reposition somebody and say, stay in this position, the body's going to revert back to where it wants to be. And so what we do with posture is we kind of try and get a snapshot of like, why is your body in this position? We look at it and we're like, why is your body doing this? Why is it doing this? And then we try and build an argument around why it's doing that, and then try and address it from kind of the side door of like, is it mechanical? Is it control? Is it perception? Is it, the table? What's going on, and why is this stuff happening? So we're never like going, your right shoulder's low, you should start hiking your left shoulder up. Like that's not the way to address this. It's more an indicator of something is going on. And then we go to this control-based stuff and try and address it that way. Okay. So what we did see is, from a standing configuration to a supine or laying configuration, almost everything flip-flops, which is very fascinating. So when you're standing, your right shoulder's low, your left shoulder's high, and your body kind of does this like glidey, shifty thing with the spine and the pelvis. When you hit the table, it flip-flops. Your right shoulder goes high, your left shoulder goes low, and your pelvis actually switches kind of where it likes to orient itself. And so what happens when you hit the table is, if your body is oriented like this, and then you hit the table, pretend this wall is the table, you hit the table like this, what's going to happen is the table is going to push everything flat, and you're going to do that. And so your body, the interesting thing is, your body is preferentially stuck in some position, and then when something pushes on it, it goes, okay, I'm going to go the other way. So the interesting thing to me is exploring the stuckness, or why your spine is being stuck in a certain position. and what the implications of your spinal positioning could be on your appendicular system, your arms and your legs. Because the main complaints, other than like some minor SI joint pain, is your knee and what's happening in your knee and why is your knee doing what it's doing. And so there's a lot of noise around your spine that I was seeing, and that's really making me curious about exploring that first, actually. So there's not a lot more going on other than your inability or the lack of want to straighten your knee. And we also saw there was a very small girth measurement difference between the right and the left thigh. And that's pretty much for the most part what we saw on this postural assessment, other than everything flip-flopping and everything going one direction when you're up and then the other direction when you're on the table. So, any questions about that so far?
No, but I have noticed with the t-shirts.
Yeah.
I put it on and comb my hair and I look in the mirror and it's something.
Yup.
It's
It
like,
slides, right?
and I don't. It's like, what?
Why is this
You know,
happening?
so I've been
Yeah.
noticing
Yeah.
that something's going on.
Okay. Yeah. So you are aware of this, and this is the big thing. Like I was saying, like the big thing with the spinal usage or spinal control, spinal position, and then the impact of those things on the limb system, and in your situation specifically your right leg, is if your pelvis and spine are kind of cattywampus.
Yeah.
What that's going to do is, like, if your right side of your pelvis is smashed forward or down or hiked in, that's going to start creating tissue compression, and it could create abnormal forces through the whole leg. So like, imagine, like, almost think about it like this, like if I'm here and I'm pushing you like this all the time, and then try walking with me pushing you down like that, what kind of forces are being distributed through the leg that the body actually doesn't really want to have being driven through that leg? And so I'm curious to see if there's an impact from spinal mechanics on your right leg specifically.
Right. I'll have to share that when I walk regularly, I can feel at the beginning it's hard to walk, and then if I have pain or I'll kind of forget about walking. But I walk about a block and I can start feeling it gets more smooth.
It improves
There's
with
some
walking.
change with
Like the fluidity gets better. Okay, that's good to know.
And so something's going on with me. I need to go for a walk.
Yeah, I like it.
It's nice that the kinesthetic action. Except if I'm going up a ramp, botanical garden is like, okay, I'm dead. And I don't know when to walk.
Like when, meaning when it's good
It's
or when
like,
it's bad?
Yeah, I know when I will actually do it regularly.
Gotcha, okay.
What happens to make it not happen?
Yeah, interesting. Okay, well that
Working
might
on
be, I was gonna say that's something to kind of explore a little bit. Okay, and so going to the big picture here, so as you can see, I mean, if you look at the colorful stuff,
Yes.
those are our hot spots or our indicators that there's dysfunction or range of motion issues going on. So, I mean, you could have told me this, but like, look at that right leg compared to the left.
Big difference.
Pretty wild, right? So we know there's something going on in your right leg. We know there's something kind of going on in your spine, shoulder area. And those are the two loudest spots in your body. There's also this like elbow thing, and I think that might be from the fall that you had. So there might be some stuff that kind of surfaces there a little bit.
It's not straight, or it's not.
No, it just doesn't want to move as well as your left one does. So yeah, so there might be some stuff going on there, but I think that's a little bit further down the priority list as far as like what you really want to get accomplished with what we're
Okay.
doing here. I'm
True,
assuming,
true.
right? So we'll kind of back burner that
Yeah,
and explore that down the road once we get this whole crazy leg thing figured out here.
okay.
Um, the obvious things that I'm seeing here is that your hip doesn't want to move, your knee doesn't want to move, and your ankle doesn't want to move.
Oh, just simple as that.
Yeah, just simple as that. The more interesting components of this thing are the pain that your knee gets when your ankle moves, and the pain that your knee gets when your lower leg moves, which is a knee thing. But the ankle movement contributing to knee pain was kind of a fascinating thing to me.
Okay.
So that's kind of an interesting outlier thing that I want to look at. And then obviously we had with some of these hip movements that deep hip socket pain.
Mhm.
So that's something we're going to keep an eye on and try and explore and figure out. Now the more interesting stuff to me, like this right leg is obviously screaming at us, and it's kind of a white noisy situation for me at this point,
Mhm.
meaning there isn't like a clear direction forward as much as I would like to see with the right leg. The thing that I'm seeing that's a little bit louder from a mechanical standpoint is the spine and pelvis kind of being askew or cattywampus. And what I'm seeing here, and this is actually pretty interesting, is your right leg doesn't want to go backwards. Your left leg doesn't want to go forwards. Your right shoulder doesn't want to go up, and your left shoulder doesn't want to go down, which is a great indicator that there is some spinal imbalance happening.
Okay.
Does that kind of make sense?
Mhm.
Right, because if your pelvis is askew and your spine is askew
Yeah.
and you're here, and then I'm like, bring your shoulder down, and you're like, well, it's already down. And I'm like, bring your shoulder up, and you're like, well, it's already up. It's like, okay, well, let's do this. Now bring your shoulder down. Oh. Bring your shoulder up. Oh. Or like if your pelvis is here, and I'm like, bring your leg up, and you're like, and then you're like, bring your leg back, and then you're like, let's go here, and then you're like, oh. Right, so my hope is that as we work through your spinal mechanics, the impact of addressing your spinal mechanics is going to clear out a lot of the white noise in your lower extremity right, and just in general, like the shoulder complex zone.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. From a step-by-step approach, the first thing I want to look at, trunk and spine, pelvis, and how those two things impact your hips, shoulders, and kind of the other stuff that's flailing around there, right? I want to do some screens with you. I want to start addressing some pelvic floor action. I want to work on improving your respiratory mechanics. And I want to do a standing spinal assessment once we kind of understand a little more about the control in your spine. Okay. Any questions on that?
Screening, what is that?
Screening is essentially us looking at systems in your body that may not necessarily be mechanical, but more like the internal stuff. So like breathing, we can't go, well, we can actually, but there's a difference between like, let me see how your right shoulder moves and take a breath in and let me see what happens there.
Okay.
So exploring how your breath and your pelvic floor impact the rest of your body. And it's a fascinating thing, but breathing and your pelvic floor and a bunch of other factors can actually impact how the mechanics in your limbs operate. So, for example, if somebody's breathing and their right rib cage is always collapsed and they breathe like this, well, if this shoulder's always collapsed and squished down and we keep working on this shoulder and nothing is changing, and well, it's actually the fact that they're not breathing through their right rib cage and now their shoulder's fine and it was actually just a rib cage issue. Well, let's address the rib cage thing before we start banging our head on a wall with the right shoulder. Does that make sense? Kind of. So yeah, there's a few things, and the rationale, one, that you've had child, which means that the pelvic floor has been compromised, And two, with the breathing, your respiratory excursions are a little lower than we would like to see them. There's good rationale to address both of those things. So as we work on the mechanics in your body, I'm also going to layer in and try and bolster the control in your pelvic floor and in your rib cage. Okay. How you doing?
Good.
Okay, cool. So trunk and spine, pelvic control, checking the range of motion in the hips and the shoulders, working through some pelvic floor training, some respiratory training, and some standing spinal mechanics testing. I'm thinking about 5 weeks worth of work right there that we're going to be doing. I'm crossing my fingers that it's less, but that's a rough estimate on what that's going to look like there.
All right.
Right lower extremity, so your right leg, all the interesting and fascinating things that we're going to be dealing with there. My hope is that a lot of this spinal mechanics testing and treatment is going to clear a lot of this right lower extremity out. The thing that I'm planning on is if we don't see changes to the lower extremity, we're obviously going to clear any mechanical issues, any control issues, start building output and control in that area down there. The kind of the behind the scenes thing is the SARS test that we did. There are 7 SARS assessments that kind of give us a general global perspective on how your system is doing. It's like a snapshot every appointment that we look at.
Okay.
The goal is to get through all of these. And so when we started this, we failed the first one, or we didn't pass the first one. So as your system bolsters and you get more stable, we hope to see that these tests become easier and easier. So like the first one here, we didn't pass either the right or the left. As soon as we pass one of these, we'll go to the next assessment.
I see.
And we just keep picking these things apart. And so the more stable your body gets, the easier it is to pass these tests. And that's an indicator that your system is becoming more stable, right?
Nice.
So we will religiously and regularly check on this SARS assessment to get a global snapshot of your body. SARS 3 pass. The other thing that I want to accomplish with working on your lower extremities, your legs, is allowing for us to do a couple other tests or screens. One called a CPG screen, which stands for a central pattern generation screen, or a gait cycle screen is another word for it. And the other one is a cervical effect screen, which is assessing how your neck and the positioning of your neck can potentially affect downstream your legs, which is a very interesting thing to look at. But we actually see this a lot where we put the head in a certain position, and it's like the kinking of a hose, and then everything fails and shuts down. And so addressing those issues with the head and neck can help bolster the rest of your system. The big reason I want to do that neck assessment is from the whomp on your head that you had there. So you could have had some neck trauma and stuff like that. So I want to address that as well. Yes.
Somebody got care.
Yeah, right. So yeah, right. So I'm thinking 6, 7, 8, 9, so 4-ish weeks there. It could be a little less, could be a little more. This is all just rough estimates.
Sure.
And then the last thing here is exploring any other range of motion control issues that we might have missed in your shoulders that didn't clear with the spinal changes that we're making. So I'm hoping that the spine clears any kind of shoulder control issues, but we'll sure anything up that isn't functioning there. And that brings me kind of to the last wave of screens that I want to do with you, which is a massive list of screens. We have a jaw assessment, a tongue assessment, an ocular assessment, And then if we go down the road, which I think we will, of a vestibular assessment, that's fine. A
You said
vestibular,
Oh,
vestibular,
yes.
which is
Oh,
inner
yes.
ear, balance,
Yeah.
dynamic, standing, moving through your world. So those are big things. And I wrote down an auditory screen just because you have hearing aids, but I don't know if that's going to be a necessary thing to do. We'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. It might be low enough on the totem pole that we just kind of push
when
through
one
that.
ear can hear better than the other, you're gonna
Oh yeah.
twist.
Oh yeah.
So
So that
hopefully they're adjusted so it.
yeah.
I for a while there I couldn't tell where sounds were coming
Yeah.
from.
So we actually have an audiometer,
Yeah.
and we do mechanical testing through your head and neck as we pump sound into your ear
Oh my gosh.
to see if we create dysfunction in the system there. So it's almost like it's fascinating, but the sound can be a noxious stimulus to your system, and then your
Yes.
system breaks down.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we might, depending on where we're at, and if we're feeling like hot to trot with this whole process, we can go there too. Obviously, the big goal is to start getting you out there and doing strength training. So that's where we want to move to.
Okay.
Do you remember when I introduced to you the daily warm up? Do you remember that?
I do not.
It was like where you were doing the neck thing and the shoulder thing and the spine thing. It was like one of the last things I gave you before we
Wow.
said
Wow.
Avita Sane.
I didn't take it.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay, so yeah, this is something that I do want to give you at some point, and this is something that will massively help promote muscular and joint health and longevity of your system, and it's a really good thing to do every day.
Yeah.
That's why they call it the daily warm up. So it's almost like I like to compare it to like priming your lawnmower engine. Like you don't mow your lawn unless you prime the engine up, right?
Yeah.
So every morning you prime your lawnmower up and then you go mow your lawn, and that's your body, your daily warm up.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get there with you too. That is kind of the game plan. Any questions on that?
None more.
Okay, you'll
Yeah,
have more
something
questions.
like that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. So what we're gonna do today is start out by exploring that trunk and spine, your shoulder, your hip, and just kind of trying to get in the swing of what the flow and process looks like. When we have our first like real session, you'll kind of see how the flow works as well. But basically what we'll do is you'll come in, we'll talk for 5 minutes, chit chat about how the week went, how'd your homework go, how's your body feeling,
Yeah.
what's your orientation towards the session that day, like what are you thinking about it, how are you feeling about it. I'll tell you some thoughts I have, and then we'll just hit the ground running and go for it.
Okay.
And then we'll do a session recap at the end, film your homeworks, make sure that you're comfortable with what you're going to be doing at home, and just keep picking this thing apart.
Nice. I like it.
All right, perfect. Very good. Any questions or thoughts from you?
So many.
Perfect.
So many.
Was that pretty?
That was complex, wasn't it?
Going through it as well.
Developing it.
Crazy, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. It
Yeah.
took, got here at 2:15.
4. It took us till 4.
Yeah.
Oh, 7 to process that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and touching the surface.
Yeah.
There's a giant iceberg below.
Yeah. It's funny, it's so crazy because like people see what we do, and they're like, oh yeah, that looks easy, like because we make it look easy,
Mhm.
and then they pop the hood and they're like, oh no, this is a BMW that I don't know how to work on, like that kind of thing. And it's crazy because the more you dive into this, and I've seen this with every single person that's gone through this program, the more you dive in, the harder it gets. The more you dive in, the less you know. Like I went through this whole wave of like, I think I got this, and then like I learned a lot more, and I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And I've gotten comfortable with the fact that I can kind of just say, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I do. But like,
I know what I'm gonna do now.
I know what I'm gonna do now, right? And that's the thing is like, I mean, you follow the tea leaves and you learn and you just it's just never ending. Like that's what I love about this process is interactional. And then that's the big thing about it, and that's one thing I was gonna mention on the table, but I can mention now. The way that we're gonna pick your body apart is a 100% scientific experiment, right? It's the scientific process. Run a hypothesis, test it, apply some variables, see what the results show, and then either make a decision on changing variables or going a different route. But it's just every single week is okay. Let's run some tests,
Yeah.
see what happens, what's happening to the body, how's it adjusting, changing, adapting, maladaptation, positive adaptation, writing down notes every single session. So I track backlog every single session that we do. I know exactly what I've done with you for the last 15 sessions once we get there. So,
Yeah.
shall we?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Do I
Okay.
take my shoes on?
You can pop those off. Tip of the iceberg. Here we go. Boop. Turn that off.